Hello everybody and welcome back to Easy English with Matt. And today we have another requested video by one of our subscribers. And this video lesson is going to be a pronunciation class about stresses in English words. So if you don't know what the stress in word is, so the stress is an emphasis on some syllable. For example, we have the word hello. So the stress is on the second syllable, right? Hello, not hello. We don't put the stress on the first one. So we say hello. And in every single word in English, we have own stress. So there are some rules about those stresses which you need to know, guys, to use them correctly. Because if you don't use the right stress in the word, then native speakers probably won't get you, won't understand what you mean. So you have to pay a lot of attention and use the right stresses in the right words, guys. So if you want to know more about the stresses, if you want to know some rules and like exclusions about those stresses, then keep watching this video lesson, guys. Don't forget to smash a like and subscribe, and let's go. And first, guys, let's talk about some basic stuff of our stresses, okay? So the first rule over here is going to be there is one and only one stress in one single word. So if you hear or if you're trying to say two or more stresses for one word, that's incorrect. I'm sorry, guys. You can use only one stress for one word. Also, there is one little exclusion, guys. You can put the secondary stress in some words to just like emphasize those words, but the secondary stress is much lower and much smaller than the major one. So you cannot even call it a stress. It's just emphasis of some words, guys. And there is only one major stress. And the second rule, guys, is you can stress only vowels and never ever consonants. So if you don't know what they are, the vowels are letters A, E, O, U, I, and Y. So you can stress only them. And the consonants are such letters as B, C, D, K, and other letters. So how do we stress vowels, guys? We have the word hello, right? So we put the stress on the letter O. Hello. Hello, right? You cannot stress L, you cannot stress H, and so on. You cannot say hello, or you cannot say hello. You can only stress the vowel and never consonants, because that's gonna sound so weird and strange. People are just going to think that you speak something like German or other stuff. And now let's move to more particular tips and more particular rules of those stresses. And the first one here is in most of two-syllable nouns and most of two-syllable adjectives, we put the stress on the first syllable. So nouns, we have such nouns as table, right? We put the stress on the first syllable. Table, right? Table. Then we have such noun as export. So we put the stress on export, right? On the first syllable, export. Then adjectives, we have adjective happy, right? So we put the stress on the first syllable, happy. Or nice, it's nice. We put the stress on the first syllable, nice, not nice. And so on, guys. So remember, in nouns and adjectives which have two syllables, we put the stress on the first one. And now, guys, let's talk about the same rule, but for verbs. So here it changes a little bit. So for the verbs that have two syllables, we need to put the stress not on the first syllable, but on the second one. So for example, we say export, right? We don't say export, we say export. And here is a really interesting thing, guys. If you're saying export, that's a verb. I have to export this somewhere else. But if you're saying export, if you put the stress on the first syllable, then you have a noun, export. I have this export from China. I have this export from some other country, right? The same thing with the word present. So if you say present and the stress is on the first syllable, present, then you have a noun. But if you put the stress on the second syllable, then you have present. To present is a verb. So I have this present from my brother. My brother presented to me this present, right? Hear the difference, guys? So you have to pay attention and be very careful with those words because they change their meanings with the changing of the stress. So be careful, guys. Also, we have such verbs as begin. So listen, begin, not begin. So we put the stress on the second syllable, begin. And decide, not decide, decide. The stress is on the second syllable. Clear? Let's move on. Next rule, guys, and this is a bit complicated rule. Well, I think all of the further rules are going to be a bit complex for you. And this one is you put the stress on the penultimate syllable. And for those who don't know what the penultimate is, so the penultimate is the second from the end. For example, we have my 5 fingers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is the first one, and this is the last one. And this one is going to be penultimate finger number 4. Or if we have number 10, then this is first, this is number 10, and this is penultimate. Number 9 is going to be penultimate finger or penultimate number. So guys, you put the stress on the penultimate syllable in the words that end in IC. So we have such words as graphic, geographic, geologic. They end in IC. Or that end with S-I-O-N, jen, or T-I-O-N, shen, like television or revelation, guys. So we put the stress on the penultimate syllable. Let's have a look at the examples. Geologic first. So the penultimate syllable here is law. The last one is jig, right? And the penultimate is law. So you put the stress on geologic, right? Geographic and graphic. We have just graphic. So you put the stress on the penultimate syllable. And in such words as television, you put the stress on V, right? Because this is penultimate syllable. You say television or revelation. You put the stress on lay, revelation. So clear, guys? If clear, then let's move on. And the next rule, everyone, I think is even more complex than the previous one. Yeah, I told you this is gonna be hard, guys. And this rule is you put the stress on the third syllable from and in such words that sound in letters C-I-C, T-I-T, D-I, and P-H-I. So we have, for example, word democracy, right? It ends in letters C-Y. And the stress is on the syllable ma, right? D, ma, cra, C. We have 4 syllables, and the third one from the end is mo, democracy. Or we have word dependability. So here stress is on B, because this is the third syllable from the end. Dependability. Or photography, right? We have the stress on ta, photography, right? Ta is the third one from the end. Or we have the word geology. So here we put the stress on all, right? Because all is the third stress from the end. And now, guys, we have totally same rule as the previous one. The stress is on the third syllable, but for words that end in AL. Like critical, geological, geographical, and so on. So stress is on the third from the end. Let's see, we have geological, right? This is the third syllable from the end. Law, geological. Or we have critical. So let's count. Critical, right? We say critical. The stress is on the first syllable, and while the first one here is the third from the end, right? We have critical and geological, geographical, and so on. Moving on, guys, and now we have such words as compounds. And compounds are words that contain 2 parts, like blueberry, blackberry, blackbird, greenhouse, old-fashioned, and so on. So we have such rules as, for nouns, compounds, we put the stress on the first part, like blackberry, not blackberry, blueberry, strawberry, blackbird, we can say greenhouse, and so on. And for adjectives and verbs, we put the stress on the second part, like old-fashioned, bad-tempered. Or verbs, we have overflow or understand. So stresses are on the second part. Clear? Clear. Let's move on. So this is all for our rules, guys. All the rules I could find. And now we're going to have a little test. We're going to have quiz about those stresses. So I'm not going to read questions for you guys because questions contain the word that you need to guess how to pronounce, and you need to guess where to put stress. So you're going to just read the questions. You can pause it because I'm not going to wait for a long time. You can pause it and choose the right answer, and then you can just write it or remember it. And at the end, you could just count how many of the right answers you had and type it in the comments down below. So guys, are you ready for the test? Let's go. So here, guys, you can see the first question. Read it carefully and give an answer. And the first answer is going to be plastic. So remember the first rule we had in the nouns that have two parts, that have two syllables, we put the stress on the first one. So we have plastic, not plastique. The second question is right in front of you. And the answer is China. So the same rule as for the first question. We put the stress for two-syllable nouns on the first syllable. So we have China, not China. Now you see the question number 3. And the answer is decide. So we put the stress on the second syllable. Sigh, right? Decide, not decide and not decide. Now you can see the question number 4. And the answer is understand. The stress is on the second part. We have a compound word which contains two words, under and stand. So this is a verb, and we put the stress on the second part for compound verbs. Understand, not understand. And the last question, number 5. The answer is conversation. So we put the stress on the syllable say because the word ends in letters T-I-O-N, shin. And for those words which end on T-I-O-N, we put the stress on the penultimate syllable. Remember, the second one from end. So we say conversation. So this is it for our test. Don't forget to leave a comment down below how many of the right answers you had and where you made mistakes, guys. Also, I would like to give you a hint that I used to do, so I never knew those rules that I just told you guys. I've never used them in my life. How I learned words and how I learned stresses, I would just listen to teachers, I would just listen to native speakers, and I would just check word if I don't know how to pronounce it in some dictionaries like Cambridge Dictionary or some other dictionaries. Well, maybe you remember Cambridge is my favorite dictionary, guys. They have English pronunciation like British one and American one, so you can choose which one you like more and practice that one. And these rules are like complicated, they are hard and difficult to learn, and it's just gonna take too long to remember some rule to pronounce a word. So it's better to just learn words in advance. But sometimes if you have to read something or write something and you don't know how to pronounce it, you can just see the word and then remember some of these rules, and then maybe this is gonna help you guys. But usually you just need to learn words in advance and check them online or with native speakers, guys. And well, this is all for today's class. I hope you guys liked it. I really hope it was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to leave some likes and comments down below, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.